Brian, welcome to the Tech Recruitment Podcast. I'm so excited to welcome you on this show because you have so many experience. You've been in the HR and recruiting space for 18 years. You've been working in an agency, and now you work as a corporate recruiter at McAfee. Why don't you tell us what it is like actually to recruit candidates now with all the layoffs happening around the world? What is it like at McAfee?
So, Michael, first thing that I want to do is I want to thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be a guest to you and to your audience. Thanks for letting me come into the space between everybody's ears. Now, to your question, what's going on with recruiting when we're kind of caught in this layoff culture where there are a lot of big tech companies that are letting go of individuals? What I'm seeing is that I'm seeing that the bar is not being lowered, it's actually being raised in terms of the quality of candidate that's coming forward in the process, whether it's by an applicant or somebody who is open to work, somebody who has recently posted their resume on GitHub or on their WordPress website. There's really an evolution, if you will, of the quality of candidates that is out there. It's because you have a lot of gold medalists and silver medalists that are competing in this arena for an opportunity. What we've really got to get down to is we've got to get down to what motivates the individual. Simply having a job is not enough motivation to take a job. Yes, I want you to have money to pay your bills. I don't want to see anybody go hungry. Ultimately, what I want to find when I'm having a conversation with a candidate is the type of opportunities they're attracted to and the problems they like to solve. If we can fuse those two together, we can make a connection, whether it's a layoff economy, whether it's a talent, a stringent talent market or a tight talent market, we can make things happen.
Mm.
I just think that maybe there are more candidates on the market than there ever have been before, and it means that as recruiters, we've got to be a little bit more discerning. We've got to build a deeper relationship, whether you're in-house or whether you're agency. And I realize that a lot of what we do in our business is perceived as transactional, but we have to bring the human element into it and make sure that we're delivering towards that goal.
Awesome, awesome. So in fact, it's kind of easier for you as the corporate recruiter because there is more talent on the market, right?
Actually, I think it's a little bit harder, Michael, is that if you look at, Michael and I were talking before the call about LinkedIn. If you look at a job posting on LinkedIn, it tells you how many people have applied to that role. So at McAfee, we don't rely on any artificial intelligence to make decisions on who should move forward to the next round. Resumes are actually reviewed by the hiring manager and by the recruiter to make sure that we're identifying the best talent. What this means is that there's been an influx of the number of applications that is there. There's been an influx in the quality of candidate that's there, but there is still only 40 to 50 hours in a week to meet with those candidates and find out what's important to them, what motivates them, and why they're interested in McAfee, and what stands out about them and the problems that they want to solve. So we've got to be that much more selective based upon not only the resume, but maybe the code bases that they've contributed to on GitHub or on Apache or with the Apache Foundation. So we really got to go the extra mile and do our due diligence before we pick up the phone and say, hey, would you be open to a conversation?
Mm. And it's very interesting that you say this, and I'm just kind of wondering, how do you figure out what drives the candidate? Because you mentioned that you need to kind of uncover the motivation or figure out what the person is interested in. What it is like? Can you walk us through the process? Like, at which point do you actually have the
I,
conversation with the candidate?
I'd be happy to. So what I do is I typically schedule a 15 to 20-minute call with a candidate. I block it out of my calendar that the call may go 25 to 30 minutes. But what I do, Michael, when I first have that initial conversation, after I've done my pre-work, the pre-work I described just a minute ago, to have those conversations with the candidate, I may say, hey, Michael, I've read your resume. I've read your GitHub. Outstanding stuff. Really like what you've done on Kaggle, especially if I'm looking for a data scientist. Kaggle's a great place to go to find people who have exercised that mental muscle. Nonetheless, I digress, is that I say, hey, Michael, I've read the resume and I've read over your online bio. Wow, really impressive. I don't want to talk about where you've been. I want to talk about where you're going, what you aspire to do. Can you tell me what you feel is next for you in your career? Michael, when you tell me, I think that I want to be a front end engineer that leads other engineers to build UI enabled, that is, let's say, that's built for neurodiversity, right? That we can build for that audience. And you say that's what you're passionate about. And I say, wow, that's great. We have a neurodiversity initiative at McAfee that we want to be more inclusive. That activates you as the candidate to say, hey, this is the right place for me. It activates me to say, as a member of the hiring team, hey, this is the right candidate for me. Let me ask some more questions. You talked about leading others. Have you led other people? And Michael, you say, no, I have, or no, I've led interns, or no, I've managed individuals. And you're able to talk about that. How do you assess those capability gaps? How do you assess capability gaps in your own code? How do you check those? It gets to be a conversation about the future that is rooted in the past. Past behaviors predict future performance, right? So we're still asking those questions that are STAR interview format, behavioral based interview questions, but we have framed the context differently. We have said, where do you want to go? What kind of problems do you want to solve? And if you said to me that I want to build front end interfaces and only front end UI, and I'm hiring for a full stack engineer, I'm going to be able to say, Michael, you know, man, I'm really excited about what you want to do and what you want to build. I misread the resume. I'm looking for somebody who's going to focus on full stack development. And you're never going to have you're not going to have the opportunity initially to mentor or grow anybody. Is this a deal breaker? You come to a determination because you listened to the job seeker, you listened to the applicant, you had listened to your hiring manager about what they wanted, and you made a marriage in that moment. And that takes about 5 to 10 minutes to do so. And then we spend some time talking about the next steps in the role, what we can look for, asking those knockout questions that the hiring manager has procured or has shared with the recruiter, whether you're in-house or whether you're agency, this applies. And what you're able to do with every candidate is you're able to make a few decisions. Is this the right person for the right job right now? Okay. If so, let's go. Let's submit to Mr. Hiring Manager and get this person set up for an interview. If this is not the right person right here and right now, what can we do to stay in touch with that individual for the right opportunity at the right instance? We're building bridges. That's what recruiters have to do. We are the engineers and architects of companies and other individuals' futures. We're simply just a footnote, but we're an important footnote nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. So you squeezed so many different interesting aspects of the recruiting psychologist within these 1 or 2 minutes, and I'm kind of wondering, just because the flow is slightly different to what most of the recruiters out there do during the screening call. They usually just pick up the phone, they ask about the requirements, they ask whether this is a technical fit, right? And then they pass the CV to a candidate. But you take a different approach, right? First, you talk about the motivation, the upcoming challenges that the candidate wants to resolve, which is very interesting, really. But
Well, Michael, I want to ask a question of you and your audience. What do you know about Kubernetes? What do you know about Kubernetes? Do
well, I know.
you and what do you know? Because the reality of it is that as a recruiter, I probably have a surface to I put it on a scale of 1 to 10. I probably have a 4 knowledge of Kubernetes and how it works and what it does. But can I do container orchestration? My brother, I can't do container orchestration, right? Am I going to ask am I going to ask a dichotomous question? Can you do container orchestration? Yes, I can. What does that tell me about the candidate? It only tells me something very one-dimensional. We are three-dimensional beings. Let's find out what our aspirations are, our skill sets, and how they're married together. Does that make sense?
Totally, totally. So first you focus on the aspirations, and only then you screen for the technical fit. Probably not even very deep because you let it to the hiring manager. But some of the recruiters listening to what you just say, they may kind of feel excited, but at the same time they may wonder, okay, what do I do? Because I'm working in an agency and I don't really have the visibility to the challenges that the company faces. They usually just have a list of requirements, and you've been working in an agency, right? So what was it like before, or what could you advise to recruiters out there who work as external consultants and they don't have as much visibility as you have now as the corporate recruiter?
Okay, number one question that an agency recruiter has to ask Mr. Client or Mr. Hiring Manager. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What is the problem that this hire will solve?
Mm.
If Mr. Client or Mr. Hiring Manager don't have a problem for your candidate to solve, you have nothing to sell. You have nothing to sell, right? That is a dead job order. That is a role that you will throw candidates against, and they will not buy the candidate.
Mm.
Alternatively, you will not be able to sell the candidate on the opportunity to work for that organization because we are all intrinsically motivated to solve problems. We are, right? You know, by the conversation that you're having today on this podcast with me, you are trying to solve multiple problems for your audience. That is your intrinsic value, right? If you're a developer, you're an engineer, you're a data scientist, you're a LLM model maker, um, you're trying to solve problems. You're trying to, at scale, figure out how do you thwart cyber criminals from attacking individuals, right? Some pursuits are noble. Some pursuits are how do I make sure that the like button works on Facebook, right? That's a problem. If you don't know what the problem is, there's nothing to solve. And you have to ask what the problem is when you're qualifying not only a candidate, but when you're qualifying a hiring manager and a job order. If there's no problem, there's no job order.
Hmm. That's a good one. So essentially, you are saying once you interview the hiring manager during the intake call, then you may not take the vacancy to work on, right? The job order, because it may not lead to the candidate being hired eventually.
Right. I mean, Michael, we're all in the business of architecting careers and building organizations, right? If I don't give you anything to build with, what are you going to do?
Mm.
Right? I mean, if you are a transactional recruiter, okay, and there are a lot of transactional recruiters that are out there, it's how you learn the business. I'm not belittling it. I'm not speaking down to it. I'm just saying if you're a transactional recruiter, you're trying to figure out the lowest hanging fruit and how you get that into the organization as quickly as possible. If you don't know what the problem is that you're trying to solve, you're going to be shoving a square peg into a round hole all day long. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
And also, as recruiters, let's not be afraid to walk away from a job order because our time is limited, right? And what we want to do is we want to maximize the amount of time that we have on our family and friends and minimize the amount of time that we make for sale on the open market when it comes to paying a fee, right?
Mm.
Ultimately, everybody wants to earn as much as they possibly can, and they want to do it. And we talked about this four-letter word, easy. They want to do it as easy as they can too, right? Ask a question. What is this person going to solve? That makes your job easy to sell to the candidate and to the hiring manager.
Mhm. Well, I'm just so glad that you are talking about this because I've been talking to lots of recruiters during the training sessions who work on job orders that are unclear. It's definitely not easy to fill those, but they don't have enough information from the hiring manager, and they just keep working. They keep finding candidates. They keep struggling, and it's
Why,
just
why do you want to do that? Why do you want to struggle? I don't want you to struggle. I want
yeah.
you to be upbeat, energetic, excited to work on job orders, right? And to partner with an organization, get fired up. Like that's, I mean, like you're looking at me like I'm crazy man. I am a crazy man. Like, if there's a role that I'm working on, you better believe that there is energy, consensus why that role is there, how that role is going to make an impact to the business, and how that role is going to impact the bottom line. I know all those things. And you're right. As a corporate recruiter, it's easy to find that information out. It is. For every recruiter, though, you got to dig a little deeper. You got to find that out. You got to figure out what makes this clock tick.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Very cool. So essentially, you have the discussion with the hiring manager to talk about the bottom line, even. So if you hire this front-end developer, they develop this and this product. So eventually, it will have this positive impact on the revenues, or it will decrease costs.
Absolutely. And, we talk about recruiting developers. When people think about an organization and the revenue, they think about sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
Salespeople would have nothing to sell if engineers, developers, product managers, program managers didn't build something to sell or have a service that was conveyed, right? So I know that we're talking about technical recruiting. Man, there's no engine of growth in an organization. There is no profitability if you can't turn out great software. And that's what we do every day at McAfee to protect over 400 million customers worldwide.
Mm. Well, that's a strong claim that also attracts lots of developers, I guess, and data scientists and engineers and everyone. So that's
Yeah.
definitely easier to get them excited about opportunities. Do you have any other strategies in mind, even when you were working as the agency recruiter, something that you deployed kind of, when you were talking to candidates to get them excited about those roles or opportunities?
So let's get people excited about themselves for a minute, right? One of the things that I try to uncover when I say, tell me about where you're going, is I want people to hear their own voice and recognize their own importance.
Hmm.
Michael, I just want to litmus test something with you. If I
Hmm.
called you out of the blue and said, Michael, I read your LinkedIn profile, or I said, Michael, I came across your portfolio website. Wow, you've built some awesome things. Which one of those two conversations are you more interested in taking?
No, the portfolio website. Wow, that sounds
Right,
good.
right. No, nobody goes wow about a LinkedIn profile. Have you been wowed by a LinkedIn profile? Like there's
Not
nothing
at
on
all.
mine that no, but if you go to behance.net and you see somebody's web portfolio, or you go to Kaggle, or you go to Google Scholar. I love Google Scholar, right? Because what I'm able to do in Google Scholar is I'm able to find all these papers for free that data scientists have written about generative AI,
Hmm.
and then I'm able to contact them and I'm going to say, Michael, did you write this paper about hallucinations and LLMs? Dear Michael, would love to talk to you a little bit more about some of the research you've done. I think it's really important to saving and safeguarding the web for people who want to be free and safe on the web. That's a little bit about what we do at McAfee. Do you think this aligns with what you've built? Michael, like I'm not saying dump LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is great, right? Like we talked about it, 4-letter dirty word, easy, EASY, right? But go site:/github.com space Kubernetes space resume space Germany and see how many resumes it brings up. Is this a video podcast? Can we do that real quick as a quick to show people how to find candidates? You doing that?
Yeah, definitely. I can do the screen share. That's a great idea. That's a great.
Okay. So
Mhm. Would you like
I'm
to
gonna
share the screen or shall I?
I'm sharing the screen right now.
Awesome.
Okay. So
Great.
we know I was looking for Land Rovers. That came up as the first search. But if I go site:/github.com resume Germany Kubernetes, I'm going to put in parentheses K8 because that's an acronym for Kubernetes, or Kubernetes, and I'm going to put the word container.
Nice search.
Oh my goodness, we have 730 resumes.
Nice.
My CV, I should have done CV. And we have we have Dogan's name, that they're a software engineer, they're a computer scientist. We can go to Google Photos and find a photo of him, that he lives in Munich, in Germany, in the Bavaria region. This is his
Nice.
GitHub. We've got all this. This was, and look up here in the top left-hand corner. This was active 3 weeks ago, right?
Mm.
Google always brings us back the freshest results first, right? So what am I supposed to say to Dogan Myrmitas? Am I going to say, "Oh, dude, I found an awesome LinkedIn profile," or, or, "Hey, I noticed your code base. I noticed what you're doing about Windows passwords resets, right? About your passion for securing Raspberry Pi. Um, Dude, we can have a much better conversation." And just real quick, we saw that his name is uh, Dogan. I'm apologizing to you now. I may have mispronounced your name. I'm going to go and I'm going to type in site colon linkedin.com/in, and I'm going to put Germany. Oh, okay. So we've got all this information that came up. Let me put that in quotes so we can see if we can narrow this down a little bit.
Or he may also not have the profile on LinkedIn, which would be even the better
Oh
case.
yeah, he might not have it on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, yeah. Which is really cool because there are so many people out there who do not have the LinkedIn profile, or maybe they have it closed. But on LinkedIn, we can clearly see this
Oh,
profile.
there's a LinkedIn link on his resume, on his CV. Let's look at
Nice.
that real quick. Okay, so let's just see for a second. Okay, all right. All this got to go away. Sorry about this. Private conversations. All right.
To clean it up.
Look at this. What does this tell me? It tells me nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
It tells me nothing. It tells me zero. It tells me where he went to school. This tells me so much more. It talks to me about the microservices that he used for front end technologies, that he used Angular. He doesn't have Angular anywhere in his LinkedIn profile.
Mm.
Ugh. Okay, so I make my point, right? Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
there are better places to do better research, right?
Mm.
And this is what I spend my time doing, right? I mentioned Google Scholar. Google Scholar. I'm going to type in that I'm looking for LLM. That's large language models that use XGBoost, which is a transformer. Look at all these papers. I don't have
Wow.
time to read. I don't have time to read this.
Mm.
I don't, right? But I know who's doing an independent evaluation of Chat GPT on mathematical word problems. I know Paulo at Arizona State University. I got a lot of information to go on here, right? This is the
This
table
is awesome.
stakes.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah.
but when we talk about building a database, right, or building a call list, we can use great tools. We can use tools that find this information for us, but it doesn't find it in real time.
Mm.
So, I would encourage recruiters to, and sourcers and talent acquisition professionals, to play around with their Boolean, to do it in a continuous fashion, to get better at it, because you can do the easy work and you can find, like, if we were looking for an Angular developer who knew Kubernetes, we would have totally passed over this guy on LinkedIn because he
Mm.
doesn't have any of that reference.
Yeah.
He talks about it at length in his GitHub profile.
So cool, so cool. And I really like how you use the Boolean with K8 or Kubernetes, just because that's what people have on their profiles, right? Sometimes they have the shortcut K8. So it's great also approach to use this when you are searching for profiles, and also how you use the keyword site semicolon GitHub or LinkedIn. That's very cool. So yeah,
It wasn't semicolon; it was a colon. I just want to make
yeah.
that.
Hmm.
It's okay because I want to make sure that people are doing it the right way.
Hmm.
And Michael, about the right way, we've had a great conversation today. I don't know what else. I don't know what other questions you've got for me. I'm
Hmm.
happy to help and grow your community.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just the screen share was super cool. So I'm sure, expanded the horizons of so many people out there who are still just using LinkedIn. That they go for the easy stuff, as you mentioned. It's easy, but lots of information is not visible on LinkedIn. Um, yeah, you mentioned GitHub, you mentioned the Google Scholar. Do you have some other platforms? Like sometimes people just mention Stack Overflow. Have you been able to use it somehow effectively to get some candidates, or is it just kind of this hyped platform that only developers use?
No, no, no. So Stack Overflow. So what I found is that people usually use the same screen name on different platforms.
Hmm.
So if I had my friend Aaron Matthew, Aaron, hi, how are you? Aaron
Hmm.
Matthew, who is a great recruiter and sourcer, she turned me on to this really simple idea that, but it's very complex. And I think that's what the power of simplicity is that people use the same screen name on Reddit that they might use on GitHub. So you might find out that somebody really likes dad jokes, right? So, or likes a particular joke or a particular type of humor, or maybe they're a Star Wars fan. You find that out on Reddit. How do you connect that to their GitHub profile to leave a message that says uh, something like, "Are you a member of the Rebel Alliance?" Right, and ask that kind of Star Wars question. There's another tool that I like to use that I don't think a lot of people are using right now. It's called Consensus. Um, have you heard of this?
No, no, not at all.
All right,
Consensus.
so I'm going to share my screen again.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that
please.
Consensus is my AI research assistant. It'll search 200 million academic papers, and it will give
Wow.
me answers based in science. So if I am looking for, find me papers about LLMs and an LLM is large language model and
Mhm.
NLP or natural language processing,
Perfect.
um, written in 2000, and so they will be ready to be on the job market. Let's say written in 2019 by, let's get really creative,
Wow.
by PhDs who work at Samsung.
Wow.
Okay, that didn't populate, right? Because I haven't run this search before. We're just getting
Mhm.
funny.
Mhm.
Oh, please work. This is the great thing that like it doesn't work when you're on camera, right?
Yeah,
So, oh, up, 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 up.
yeah. Isn't it amazing what kind of world we're living in these days? It's just unbelievable, right? With ChatGPT and all these other tools and consensus I can see it's also from OpenAI. It's just unbelievable, really.
Yeah, but see, the thing about consensus is consensus roots everything in fact, and it gives you footnotes to go check it. I found
Mm.
several papers from 2019 related to Samsung, but none of them specifically addressed large language models or natural language processing in the context of Samsung's work. Okay, here are some papers that provide aspects into Samsung's operations and technological advancements.
Oh, it's writing down the names of people. Smith, Ditizio.
Yeah, Smith, DeTizio. We've got a paper that we can go to. I'm going to open. Hold on. I'm going to let it write the link,
Mhm.
and then I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to click
Mhm.
on this link, and there's an abstract and they're the people who wrote it, their full names.
Oh, that's so cool. So now you can find them, for example, on LinkedIn, or maybe you can even find them
Oh,
on.
so let's do this. Let's look for Alan Smith. And we know that Alan Smith, yeah, you're right. We could do that. I mean, Alan Smith. It's a pretty common. Smith is a pretty common last name. I'm going to grab that. And what else did we have about her? Samsung. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll just do a natural language search. Oh, we found her writing partner at Robert Morris University.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's Alan. Hey, Alan, what's going on? Nothing much, Bri. What's going on with you? We know that he works at Robert Morris University. And let's do Alan Smith. And let's do quotation marks, asterisk, a wild card, at. Wait a minute. Actually, I'm going to look this up first. Robert Morris University. Okay, their email address is rmu.edu.
So you will guess his email address.
No. We don't guess here. We do this. Is we're going to go at rmu, and we put this in quotes.
Mm-hmm.
rmu.edu.
Awesome.
There we go. We've got his phone number. We've got his email address.
Wow. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. So we didn't,
Wow.
again, we didn't use LinkedIn.
Wow. This is so cool. And by the way, I really love how practical this demonstration is. And we haven't prepared this. I just need to say.
No. We this could have gone
fly.
horribly wrong.
You just kind of made up some, whatever kind of paper. You made up company name, Samsung, and here are people or one person with the real email address and phone number. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and we've got it in multiple places, so we really do know. We've got his mobile number. Like, okay,
Wow.
this was good. We had some fun. I don't know who he is.
So cool. So these days people are also a bit scared of just picking up the phone and calling. Would you send an email? Would you just pick up the phone and call to this person? Would you send an SMS or WhatsApp message? What would you do now when you see the contact details on the screen?
Okay, so first off, an email. I would send an email first. Okay, and then my voicemail, because they're not going to pick up a number they don't recognize, is, hey, Alan, my name is Brian Fink. I sent you an email about the Samsung paper that you wrote. When you get a chance, would you give me a call back? I never blind SMS a candidate. I don't. I think that your phone number, that SMS, for some reason, it's super personal to me, is that once I get a relationship started with a candidate, I might say, hey, Michael, if I get an update today, can I text you? I want their consent. I don't want to barge into their phone or their WhatsApp. What taught me that, and I don't have it set up on this computer, is do you Slack?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so real quick, there is a website that's called Slowfile. And Slowfile, we're doing all kinds of things today. This was totally not planned. We're going to Slowfile. We were just going to talk about like how looking for people is easy, right? Is that I'm going to put in the search. Okay, so Slowfile is a directory of public Slack groups to look at. As you can see, Brian is into shoes, and I was looking at some Hokas. Let's do that. We're looking for Spain. I'm just going to say Spain because I think part of your audience, no Slack groups in Spain. Is Spawn? Yeah? No? All right, let's try female. Women in tech.
Women in tech.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to join this, I join it here, but this is open to female identifying persons who work in the tech sector, right? It tells me the chats that go on here, what the channels are, where the majority of individuals are, what time zones they're in, it gives me a little insight as to what the channels are. One of the things, though, I bet if I go to their website, it's going to give me the rules, right? And I believe that you should not DM somebody on Slack if it's against the rules of the community. And it's just like sending a DM via text, via WhatsApp. I don't think that that's cool. If you are, if we are looking for, if we did a site command TikTok.com and we were looking for a Java developer who has their Gmail address available on TikTok and they're a Java developer. Oh my goodness, dude, we got Java developers that have their TikTok, have their Gmail address on TikTok, right? And I think that sending them a DM on TikTok and saying, I really like what you are doing is different, right? Sending them an email and saying, I just found your TikTok about IBM hybrid recruitment for data engineers. Can we have a conversation, right? I mean, there are a lot of ways to do that. We could do Instagram.com. Oh, I misspelled Instagram. Yeah, I gammed it. 2,900, almost 3,000 people have. This is the lone coder girl, right? Never know what's going to show up on. Know what's going to show up on Instagram. So I take full credit for this. She is in Bulgaria. This is her Gmail address. She has a link to her resume. She has copies of her code. This is truly what we're looking for in a global economy when we're looking for multiple candidates. So that's Ripka saying the lone coder girl, the loner coder girl.
Yeah. Well, this is just amazing. I mean, people who are listening to this podcast should definitely go to YouTube and now watch this screen share because it's just so eye-opening. And to all of these recruiters and talent acquisition specialists who are just logging into LinkedIn and use it every day, now this could be very eye-opening and expanding their horizons. So thanks a lot for the screen share.
Oh, Michael, you're welcome. You know, like like what we talked about at the very top of this conversation. My mission is to help candidates go from better to best, to help organizations go from better to best. Together, you and I are helping recruiters, whether you're in-house or whether you're agency, go from better to best. And that's what I hope we accomplish today for all three of those groupings.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so before we wrap it up, is there any final advice that you would like to give to talent acquisition specialists or recruiters who may be struggling to fill the positions and they don't have the luxury of working in the well-known organization where candidates are fighting to work for?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really good question to wrap up on, Michael. So I think it's about the personal relationship that you build with the candidate, whether you're in-house or agency, right? Is if you're agency, right, and you don't have this great brand like McAfee, then you got to flex your personal brand and that you are going to do what you say and say what you do, and that you're going to have to build that authenticity and that trust with candidates. And, there are candidates that I worked with from agency land, because I was in agency land for about 10 years. There are candidates that I worked with that, like, they still call me and they go, "Yo, B, what should I do about this job?" Right? Build that personal, authentic relationship, and it'll take you lots of different places.
Awesome, awesome. Well, that's a great final advice. Thanks for that, and thanks for all these other insights. And the screen share was amazing as well. Unprepared, but it went so well. It's just I can clearly see you are the professional who does it every day. So of course you didn't need any preparation for the screen share.
All I never know is I never know what's going to show up on Instagram. I never know, right? Like it could have been really bad. So I'm glad that it was really good, and that we saw Ritika Singh, who worked at Amazon.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad everything went well. And sometimes things don't go well.
Yeah, yeah.
But this
So
went
we
well
can.
today. And
Yeah.
Michael, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I look forward to shaking your hand in person soon.
Thanks a lot. And before we wrap it up, where can people find you on the social media? Not on LinkedIn, because we learned that we should not use LinkedIn as much. So, what about your TikTok channel or Instagram? Where can people find you?
So they can find me at the Brian Fink 77 on Instagram and on Threads. They can find me on Amazon as a bookseller. I've got a book about technical recruiting. It would be foolish if I didn't mention it. It's called
Please.
Talk Tech to Me. It is the non-technical guide to technical recruiting. It's something that I'm excited about every day. And if you do find me on LinkedIn, shoot me a DM on Friday afternoons from 1 until 5. I typically work one-on-one with recruiters to either help them solve their toughest problems, and we can cook up some Boolean strings together, or maybe they need job advice. Like I said, I'm here to take people from better to best. So let's do that together. Michael, thank you for letting me live my mission. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, and I will include the links in the show notes, also with the book on Amazon. So thanks a lot. It was great fun. So I hope to see you soon again, and hopefully even shake the hand, as we said.
Yes, sir. Let's rock and roll. Be well.
Thanks. Have a good day. Bye. Bye.
Bye.